These are the 0.3a notes for pre-calc. Today we're going to be solving radical equations. So for radical equations, the opposite of square rooting something is squaring it. So square root and x squared are opposites. If you have one, you want to use the other to get rid of it. So for our first example, we're going to start by squaring both sides. I usually put a parenthesis there. The square root bar and the square on the left go away, getting you x minus 3 equals. And then 2 squared, 2 times itself makes 4. Then you would add 3 to both sides to get an answer of x equals 7. For example number 2, notice that there's a number right here. We want to move this first. You want to make sure that the square root bar is all by itself. So you're going to add 17. Get 8. Now that the square root is by itself, that's when you're going to square both sides. Square root and square cancel. 4x plus 72. And make sure you square 84. Common mistake is to do 8 times 2. Make sure you're doing 8 times 8 to get 64. And solve as usual. Final answer, x equals -2. For the next set of problems, we have radicals that we're going to have to do factoring with. So that's if you have the x on the right-hand side. So we'll start by squaring both sides. The square root and the square cancel, 2x plus 3. And on the right, we have x squared. Then, make a note off to the side. We want to move everything to the x squared side. Move everything to the x squared side. That's going to make sure that our x squared stays positive, which is what we want. So I'll subtract 2x, and I'll subtract 3 in the same step. 0 equals. We have something like that. Normally, it's the x squared minus 2x minus 3 equals 0. This time, the 0 is in front. It makes no difference. We know it's all the same. Then we're going to factor. Trying to find numbers that multiply to -3 and add to -2. Those numbers will be -3 and +1. Once you've factored it, you'll take both your factors, set it equal to 0. So that way you can solve these two small equations. Okay, for example number 4, again, we'll square both sides. Oops. There we go. The square root and the square cancel out, leaving 4x plus 33. And then over here, we have x plus 7 squared. And this part right here, we're going to do off to the side, x plus 7 squared. In order to do this problem, we actually have to write it twice, and then we'll need to FOIL. Write it twice and FOIL. So you are not allowed to distribute a square into a parenthesis of a binomial. Binomial means 2 terms, so the x and the 7. You're not allowed to bring the square in like that. In order to do it, you have to FOIL. So off to the side, let's FOIL this. We're going to multiply x times x. We'll multiply x times 7. Multiply 7 times x. And we'll multiply 7 times 7, 49. Then we'll combine like terms. X squared plus 14x plus 49. So that's what we'll go over here in place of our x plus 7 squared. X squared plus 14x plus 49. Then we'll continue our process by moving everything again to the x squared side. So I'm subtracting 4x, moving it to the x squared side. I'll also subtract 33 in that same step. That'll get me 0 equals x squared plus 10x plus 16. We'll factor. Find numbers that multiply to 16, add to 10. It's going to be the pair 8 and 2. And we'll set that equal to 0 and solve. Subtract 8. And subtract 2. On the back side, we're going to talk about extraneous solutions. So technically, mathematically, we should be checking every single one of these answers that we get, plugging it back in, and making sure it gives us a correct answer. However, that is a lot of work. So what we're going to do instead, one is going to be done for you. Here, example number 5, it's correctly done. And we're just going to check them. So we have two answers, x equals -4 and x equals +1. And we're just going to check both of these. So check x equals -4 and check x equals +1. And when we check, we're going to plug it all the way back into the original equation. This one right here. Plug in here to check. And we're just trying to make sure that both sides are equal to each other. So let's plug it in. I have 3 times -4 plus 13. All that's under a square root bar. And I'm going to set it equal to -4 plus 3. You're just going to work on the left as well as on the right, just simplifying things out. You don't want to do the same steps we did before. So you're not trying to square both sides or solve it the same way. You're just trying to simplify. So -12 plus 13. Combine those, -1. Add those two numbers together, 1. Bring down the -1. And then if I take the square root of 1, I get 1. Bring down the -1, and you can see those two numbers are not the same. +1 is not equal to -1. Not true. So that means x minus 4 is not an actual answer. Let's cross it out. And we'll check +1. So again, all the way back into the original problem. Three plus 13 equals 4, just simplifying. Add those together. Bring down the 4. Take the square root of 16 to get 4. Bring down the 4. That is true, which means that +1 is my only solution. In Delta Math, none of these are going to be the case. All of your answers, both answers will be correct. You will not have any extraneous solution for this type of problem. So there will be no need to check your answers on Delta Math.